How you going, people? Day 16. Killer or cover-up murder trial. Oh, my God. Karen Reed, this lady is testifying. She was a friend of Reed. Day 15, she did real good, I thought, against the defense. And he's attacking her today. This is why they always tell attorneys, don't ask questions that you don't know the answer to, because it may not help you. And this attorney asked why she went to visit the lead investigator to imply that she was conspiring to meet him and to get her story straight. And he wasn't even home, and she got some good comeback for him.
Elizabeth Proctor, the wife of Michael Proctor's house.
Who does Elizabeth Proctor live with?
Michael Proctor.
So you actually went to Michael Proctor's personal residence, didn't you?
I did, yes.
That was in September of what year?
23. I went over.
23.
Yes.
Why'd you go to Michael Proctor's house in September of 2023?
I met Elizabeth Proctor in approximately July or August of 2023. We are two mothers that are being viciously terrorized and harassed by social media. Things that were stated in this courtroom and allegations that were made have torn our lives upside down. We receive hate letters saying that they hope things.
Why? I know you want to give in there.
See, he wants to, as soon as you start answering, when an attorney asks you a question, you start answering and they stop you, the prosecution should be objecting, Your Honor. He's got to allow the witness to answer. And the prosecution isn't objecting. But the judge says you open the door. Good. So he tries to stop her.
Receive hate letters saying that they hope things.
Why? I know you want to give a narrative.
She gets to answer this, Mr. Jackson. The door's open.
Your Honor, she should answer the question why she went to the house as opposed to the narrative behind her motivation.
It sounds to me like she's explaining why she went to the house.
Okay.
The door was open, Mr. Jackson.
Go ahead.
We receive letters, we receive emails, we receive calls. People drive by our house. There was a rolling rally outside of my house where people just screamed at us. They take pictures of our children. They took a picture of my daughter and put semen on it and said property of some named blogger that I think the defense is very familiar with. So that is why myself and Elizabeth Proctor got together. Michael Proctor was not home. We are two mothers trying to get through the unthinkable together.
So you were upset.
Notice that he immediately goes to another question so the jury doesn't have a chance to absorb the full impact of what she just said. So he lets her finish because the judge made him, and now I have to redirect and deflect. These are all such flagrant lawyer tricks that the people that are buying in this conspiracy, I just don't get it. I mean, I have no dog in this fight. I don't care if they set this woman free. It really doesn't matter if she gets guilty or not. It's just that everybody's being scammed, in my opinion, on these lawyer tricks. And the conspiracy, according to them, is so widespread and involves so many people and so many different agencies, and not one time does the defense try to justify what their client did, said, got drunk, was the last person to see him, was the one that made the phone call and told everybody, was the one that was making all those incriminating statements. Never is that addressed, and yet there's all these people that just want to focus on what the defense tells them to, which is this big conspiracy. I mean, I could be dead wrong on this. I highly doubt it, and if I am, well, I'll say I got took. I've been around law enforcement and witnesses in the court and lawyers for decades. I don't think I'm getting taken, but we'll see.
About the public outrage concerning your family's involvement in the death of John O'Keefe.
I was outraged because I am a state witness that is being tortured because of lies.
Because of public outrage concerning your family's involvement in the death of a police officer, correct?
No, it's a social media witch hunt.
I see. So you decided that the best way for you to address that angst that you were feeling is to go to the lead investigator's home, personal home, in this case.
I went to visit Elizabeth.
Totally misstates the evidence. She did not go there and meet him. He wasn't there. he just gave testimony, which he shouldn't be allowed to do. I don't know why the prosecution objected and misstates evidence. He's mischaracterizing her response. He's not quoting her response correctly, Your Honor. He's testifying, Your Honor. He's making up as he goes, Your Honor, and he's I mean, there's just all kind of things they should be slamming this guy with. He's getting away with it.
Home, personal home, in this case, correct?
I went to visit Elizabeth Proctor. Michael Proctor was not home.
So just like...
Pathetic excuse. Look, people think that I don't like all defense attorneys. I think defense attorneys are necessary. I think the government should have to prove their case. And I think defense attorneys should make the government prove their case and punch holes in the case and find things wrong with the case. And then it's up to the jury to smear the integrity and honesty of good people just to poke holes in your client. I don't like that, and I'm not for that. Okay, so they're finished with this witness, which is kind of surprising to me. That I thought they'd go longer, because they really, in my opinion, made no headway whatsoever. Actually, she looks better and more believable to me. So on this one search here, they're saying how long did it take to... Here's where the big thing where everybody's like, oh, it's a big conspiracy. So on 129 at 6 in the morning, it says she made a search. 6:24:18. Then at 6:24:24, she made a second search. And they're making it, why'd you Google twice? You got the same thing. Why did you Google it twice? Why did you make this correction? She's like, it was cold. I was freezing. My friend was dead. I was being yelled at, and I typed it wrong, so I typed it again. Perfectly reasonable to me. His story is, you searched it earlier on the 29th. So here, he's saying that a search was made at 2:27, 4 hours earlier, by her. And it's mistyping House, H-O-S, long to die in a cold, just like she typed it in the morning when it was a panic. She's saying she didn't type it. This program is saying it was deleted. This search was deleted. She's saying, I don't even know how to delete it, which I agree. She turned her phone over voluntarily, didn't get a new phone, didn't try to hide it, gave them the phone voluntarily like 2 days after the incident because they asked for it. And they pulled all this info. Now, this is a program, a Starbright. I think that's the name of the program. I don't know how to justify this. If she searched this, it's odd. If she said, I searched it for a BS reason, I would believe that it's even more odd. But the fact that she's like, I had no reason to search that. She was searching something, I guess, at 2 a.m. about her daughter's birthday or basketball at about this time because she was going to bed. And they're like, why are you searching about a basketball? She's like, my daughter was in. I mean, all her answers to me are very reasonable. They're not concluded. She's not having to make it up. She repeats things the way she says it. I know the people that want to believe this conspiracy think this woman's a big liar. I'm telling you, in all my years of experience on witnesses, she's one of the better witnesses that I've seen. And again, no one gives the same statement twice. You should never give more than one statement. And this is exactly what happens when you give a statement to the cops and they do a shitty first statement and they come back and they get a second statement. And then the third detective says, oh, I don't, you should have asked this. So they come back and they go over your first two statements. And then they ask more questions. Now you have 3 statements. Then you have to testify in front of 2 grand juries over the next 2 years. And you people are acting like there shouldn't be any inconsistencies. There should be no changes. Everything should be exactly the same. That's just not reality, people. Sorry. Hell, I got shit wrong when I'd take a report and I'd be, 2, 3, 6 months later, I got to read my report before I go in. And I wouldn't remember half the crap because I got, since then, 20, 30, 50 other felony arrests, 50 other reports. I got plenty of investigations, writing search warrants, searching, trying. I mean, there's all kind of shit going on. Your life is not a memory, especially when you start giving statements, especially under critical times such as a car accident, a murder, a death. These things always create drama because the mind shuts down when you go into fight or flight. Your heart rate goes up. I talk about this a lot. All these things happen. And one of the things that happen is your long-term memory is not important. So your memory shuts down because all the blood flows to your muscles so you can fight or flight and survive. Your eyes dilate, heart rate goes up, blood pressure, lungs expand, you breathe faster, deeper, your reactions get quicker, the hairs on your arms stand up. All these things happen when you're in a life or death critical situation. And finding your friend dead in the cold is a critical situation for this mom who's never experienced this, got a couple kids, seems like a very nice, well-rounded family. So everybody that's picking on this woman, I think it's just, I think it's criminal that they're destroying this woman's life in order to create doubt to get your guilty client off because you can't explain away why she didn't call the cops quicker, how drunk was she, why did it take so long for her to start looking, why did she panic about her tail light, why did she say I could have hit him, then I did hit him, and maybe I didn't hit him, why was she even talking about hitting him unless she hit him? And why wasn't she talking about her tail light unless she knew it was broken? So, I mean, look, the people that want to believe the conspiracy, go ahead. I'm just nowhere there. I think this woman did a pretty good job, and they're finished with her. So let me get this straight, okay? If I'm a reasonable person, this conspiracy is so good, and this woman is so smart that I searched how long to take a body to die 4 hours before. I killed a body in my house, and my big plan was to drag the body in front of the front yard so I couldn't get caught. My big plan was to hope that there was a tail light with DNA evidence of the suspect that would be found. And my hope was that the suspect would somehow find a body and in the police car ask me to Google how long did it take somebody to die, and I could sneak in a couple of searches to cover my previous search. Are you people on crack? I mean, that just doesn't make any damn sense whatsoever. Long-term and short-term memory is effective during critical incidents. That's why cops, usually when we're involved in shootings, we don't remember how many rounds we fired. We're trying to survive. We're looking for multiple suspects. We're shooting out of self-defense. And it's very common. 2-3 days later, we start remembering details about the thing that happened. If you're in a car wreck, a lot of people have amnesia because it's immediate. It's fight. You go in fight or flight, and your memory shuts down. And then later, you start remembering. That's totally normal. It doesn't mean it's a conspiracy because somebody rolled their car and they don't know how they crashed their car. I mean, come on, people.
Ms. McCade, the reason you deleted that 2:27 a.m. call is because you realized that if you were caught Googling how long it takes for a person to die in the cold 3.5 hours before John's body was found, that would incriminate you.
Objection.
Remember, I use the phrase, most questions are always statements in disguise. This was not a question. This is a statement. This is a complex question. I mean, the prosecution could be objecting all day like, complex, he needs to break it down. Ask each one individually. But it doesn't sound like a sound bite to the jury if I can get away with this bullshit. I mean, I got to give this lawyer credit. He's good at the sleazy and destroying people's lives for his client, for money, so he can get paid and get his client off and destroy other people's lives. Nice job, dude. I might have to start calling you the weasel. So they're finished with her right after this.
The objection sustained.
Did you delete that search because you knew that you would be implicated in John O'Keefe's death if that search was found on your phone?
Objection.
Paula, could you answer that, please?
I did not delete that search. I never made that search at 2:23. I never would have left John O'Keefe out in the cold to die because he was my friend that I loved.
But he's not your family, is he?
Notice how he had to immediately interject another question before you could process the impact of her statement. That came from raw emotion. If you people think that she rehearsed what she just said, I'm sorry, but you're a freaking idiot. That was not a rehearsed statement. That came from the heart, and she feels bad. I can hear it in her voice, and I can see it in her body language. And she's being put through the ringer, and I think it's freaking bullshit. But you know what? I could be the biggest dummy in the world, and everybody's going to tell me how wrong I am when all these agencies get taken down and the big conspiracy is revealed by the FBI.
Family and friends.
Is it not
Objection.
your...
Sustained.
You acknowledge that you made the search at 6:23, don't you?
In the morning I did, yes.
You acknowledge that you made the search at 6:24.
Multiple times in the morning, yes.
Of the 3 searches that show up, that were all found on your phone, the one that you disavow is the one that took place at 2:27 a.m., which would implicate you and exonerate my client, correct?
Objection.
Except the search at this time, right? That should have been one. And you know that statement that should have been broken up. See, when lawyers get tricky and they ask these compound questions, now they can turn it around and imply that you answered the part that they wanted you to answer. Isn't it true that you're denying molesting that kid that you met in a dark bathroom at 12:30 a.m.? And it's like, you want to say, I never met him at 12:30 a.m., and yes, I'm denying that. But they will go, objection, yes or no. For people that understand the way these attorneys are playing word games, this is all smoke and mirrors bullshit.
Sustained. Can I ask it differently, Mr. Jackson?
Of those 3 searches, there was only one marked deleted. Isn't that right?
Correct.
That was the one at 2:27 a.m., correct?
I wouldn't even know how to go in and delete a
That's not
search.
what I asked you. The one according to...
That's why she's such a good witness. She comes up, and for those that think that she was coached, let me tell you something. I've worked with bad witnesses that were scared they couldn't freaking answer what their name was, and we would sit down with them, not trying to get them to lie, but just trying to make them look better on a stand. Hey, you need to set up and stop using, yo, motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We would coach them to be a better witness. We would not coach them to lie. If you think that somebody out there can coach this witness to make up 4 to 6, 8 hours on a stand, all these lies, and come up with all these lines right on clue, well, I'm going to say it again. You're some kind of special idiot, because it just ain't happening.
To the Celebrate report that was deleted, the one at 2:27 a.m., correct?
Correct.
See, she said correct. He got her to say correct. She should have said, I don't know why the Celebrate report did that. I don't know who ran it. I don't know the history. I'm not an expert on it. And just because you show me a piece of paper that says it happened and it was deleted, it doesn't make it so. And I stand by my answer. I did not make that search at 2 a.m. and I did not delete anything. Every question she gets, she should be saying that at the end. That way, they'll stop and move on. Man, I really feel sorry for this woman.
You would agree that that's awfully convenient for you, isn't it?
Objection.
Actually, it's very inconvenient because I know the truth. And the fact that it's there and you can sit there and make up lies and mislead this jury and release that to the press and destroy lives, it's very inconvenient, Mr. Attorney. That would have slammed his ass.
Okay, Mr. Lally?
Okay, so now the prosecution is going to come back and see if he can clean this up. Hopefully he'll do a good job. I'll probably be cracking on him too, but whatever. Here we go. Okay, this prosecutor is messing up in my book. The way examination works, once the defense said they're done with her, if the prosecution doesn't ask her any more questions, she's dismissed. Now, the prosecution should be coming back and only cleaning up areas that he misrepresented and made her look bad. This attorney, this prosecutor, is not doing a good job because he's opening the door and he's having her re-testify on how many times she went to the front door, how long, what. You don't want to introduce new testimony because now the defense get to re-question her on everything you ask. So you only want to ask what you need to clean up. This attorney's going all through specifics and he's opening her up. Now I think the defense is going to recross her.
And when you say as far as you saw the vehicle move, did you see the vehicle physically move, or it was in one place and then you came back later and it was in a different place?
It was in one place, and then when I came back, it was further up.
So she's already testified to this like 3 or 4 times. She testified it when he asked her the first time, and she testified at least 4 times when the defense was trying to trip her up. Were you there? Did you look 5 times? Did you send a text every time? Did you go to the door every time? Was your husband with you every time? Both of y'all were there, both of you didn't. Which times did your husband go and which time did you go by? And he already beat the hell out of her on this. Why in the hell is he asking new questions about this for the defense to now come back and beat her up again? And that's going to show more doubt and put more doubt in the jury that, holy shit, this girl can't keep her story straight. This prosecutor is being a dumb ass right now.
Any of those points in time, did you took a glance out the storm door? Did you see anybody outside of the vehicle?
No,
Did you see inside of the vehicle?
no,
Did Did you see anybody outside other than Julie Nagel on the front lawn, front walkway, or anything else?
No.
Already asked and answered multiple times. Why the fuck are you doing this, dumbass? What a stupid prosecutor.
At any point in time while you were at 34 Fairview that night, did you see John O'Keefe?
No.
At any point in time when you texted John O'Keefe after you arrived at Fairview, did John O'Keefe respond?
No.
At any point in time after you arrived at Fairview, or after you hung up from the 12:18 a.m. call in which you were describing where 34 Fairview was in reference to Bella's house, did you ever hear from John O'Keefe ever again?
No.
Those questions are okay because her whole testimony has been those same answers. So he's just having her reaffirm what they already know. Those are okay questions. The questions before where he got into details about the car, dumb.
And during that about 20-minute or so period of time when Mr. O'Keefe or the defendant's SUV is in front of the house, you never heard anything from John O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
And did that strike you as unusual as far as him not responding?
I thought it was strange, but then I thought that they just might have decided to go home or had.
That's a new question. I've never heard anybody ask that yet. Why are you doing that now? You're a dumbass. I would almost bet the defense is going to get another bite at her because of his questioning. Whereas if he'd kept it to what was already done, they couldn't ask her anything. I bet they're going to come back and want to trip her up now.
Now, you're looking out through the storm door and you see a Lexus with its lights on, right?
Correct.
And from that area, the secondary area, up by the flagpole and the fire hydrant, that's the same area where you found John O'Keefe the next morning, correct?
Correct.
And with reference to that area, is there any lights as far as street lights or anything that you're aware of in that area?
No, it's a dark area in the corner of the lot.
Now, at any point in time, were you looking or were you...
Get ready. You testified that it was a dark area in the lot. Let me show you this picture where there's a front door light on at your neighbor. Is that what you would consider dark? Isn't there reflection off sun? Doesn't snow make reflection? It makes it more light. Didn't you say it was snowing? And now you're saying it's dark? Which one was it? This guy is being a dumbass prosecutor.
Are you expecting to see John's body on the lawn?
Absolutely not.
And fair to say that when you're looking in the dark, in the snow, from storm door, out towards the vehicle, not the same conditions as if you're standing in a courtroom or sitting in a courtroom today, about 10 feet away from somebody during the daytime with lights on, correct?
Correct.
That's an okay question. That makes the point. Because the defense was like, were you closer to me or farther from me? You can see me. You can see what's in front of me. So what's happening is this prosecutor, when this guy was making questions, he was making notes on how to clean up that thing. And so now he's cleaning up. That was a good cleanup in my book.
When you go back to Fairview the next morning, and again, who was the person who requested or directed to go to Fairview?
Karen.
And so when you go to Fairview along with the defendant and Ms. Roberts at the defendant's direction, sometime around 6 a.m., when was it that you first saw Mr. O'Keefe?
I wasn't the one to first see him. Karen was.
So she's banging on the door, asking to be let out. She goes directly over to the bus, correct?
Correct.
And neither you nor Ms. Roberts, well, you didn't see Mr. O'Keefe on the lawn until after she did that, correct?
Correct.
And that was after you had already sort of driven a little bit past where he was, correct?
Correct.
He almost got away with saying you or Miss Roberts. She can't testify to what someone else said, and he would have got an objection. But if the attorney would have kept going, she may have answered, and they might not object. Sometimes attorneys miss that. So he corrected himself so they wouldn't object and said, you didn't see the body. But his initial question was you or the other woman didn't see it. That's also correct, but she has to testify what she saw.
Now, with reference to you get home from Fairview around 2 a.m. or somewhere in that time frame, you go up to bed and you do some searches on your phone, correct?
Correct.
And so there's a Safari tablet or application on your phone. That's where you access Google.
Yes.
Is that typically where you would access Google?
Yes.
And you were looking at Ozone basketball. You're also looking at Hockomock. Is that right?
Objection.
Sustained.
What, if anything else, were you looking at beyond the Ozone basketball you talked about?
We had an exciting game earlier in the night against a local town that has a very good basketball program. So I went on Hockomock Sports to look at the recap, and typically I'll do that to see how other teams did, etc.
And around that same time, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, within when you did that, as far as looking things up on Google, were you opening up new tabs within Safari as you were looking at different websites or different topics?
No.
And when you went to bed or you went to sleep that evening, at some point you turned off your phone, right?
Correct.
And did you X out that box, that Safari tab that you were doing those searches with regard to Ozone and Hockomock?
No, I used to always leave my tabs open, and my kids would yell at me.
As far as having multiple tabs open, is that correct?
Drains my battery, etc. Yes.
So then, flash forward to sometime after 6 a.m., you're on the side of the road and the defendant asks you to conduct or look up something with regard to hypothermia or how long to die in the pool, correct?
Correct.
So when you open that up and you go into Google, did you open up a new tab, or did you just sort of go into what you had already open in the Safari tab?
I went to what I already had opened.
And that's where you performed the search, is that right?
Excuse me?
That's where you performed the search that you were just being asked about?
Yes,
And you never made any search like that at 2:27 in the morning, correct?
I did not.
My guess is he's talked and he has an expert to justify why that show's deleted. And part of the explanation is when you search on a tab that's already open, this program will sometimes show the prior date of the previous search. And that's, I bet you, what the defense is going to be. I'm guessing, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if later we saw an expert on this report clearing this up.
No.
Now, with how many cell-brightest extraction reports were conducted in reference to your phone?
I think a couple, I'm actually not sure.
And prior to January 29th, 2022, had you ever seen a cell-bright extraction report?
No,
As you sit here today, do you even really know what that is?
not really, no.
Do you know what a wall file is?
No,
Do you know what an SQLite database is? Do
no,
you know what a knowledge profile C database is?
no.
This is good because he's asking her all these technical questions to show she's not some computer whiz that can go in and change her phone. She's just a casual user like most of us.
Do you know how information is stored and kept within your cell phone?
No,
Now, as far as, let me ask you this, you had 4 children and you were a mom, a homemaker, correct?
correct.
At some point you did work though, right?
Yes,
What did you do for work?
I was an elementary school teacher.
What grade did you teach?
Fifth,
One question, and we'll see where this goes.
What grade did you teach?
fifth.
And how long did you teach 5th grade?
Yeah, I'm going to see counsel at sidebar.
Oh, this is interesting. I wonder why they're objecting that she was this. Okay, if you're on a jury or watching a trial, when the judge says ask for a sidebar, or one of the attorneys goes objection sidebar, and they walk over, whatever question was asked before the objection, if it's re-asked, that means they won. If they don't re-ask it and they move on to something else, that means they lost. So when he comes back, he's either going to ask the question or he's going to move on.
4:53 in the morning is when you get that first call from Kaylee Kirkbush, is that correct?
Correct.
You answer that call and then the defendant is put on the line, correct?
Looks like he moved on.
Yes.
And so what is the first sort of iteration of the story that
I'm confused on why they wouldn't let him ask about her being a school teacher. And if it was important, why the hell didn't the prosecution ask when he had her up there on the first time?
the defendant tells you happened the night before?
That they got into a fight, she left him at the waterfall, and he never came home.
And at some point later, you confront her with the
Oh, that's the first time I've heard that. The suspect, the innocent poor framed woman, lied and said she left him at the waterfall. Maybe she implied that when she called and said the last time I saw him was at the waterfall. I didn't hear her say that I left him off at the waterfall. She said the last time I saw him, and then when they said, no, we saw you out front of our house, she goes, oh yeah, I forgot I was drunk. More conspiracy that somehow is overlooking all the evidence pointing at her.
you saw the vehicle out front of the house, correct?
Correct.
And so then what is the defendant's story changed at that point?
That they went there, and it changed multiple times. I'm not sure exactly. She said at one point, oh my God, I don't even remember going there. She was telling other people that he was dead, that a plow hit him. The story changed multiple.
Oh, I forgot that too. Another little incriminating statement she made. I wonder if a plow hit him. Setting up an alibi when they find him dead. Woman's so freaking guilty. Good grief. You people probably thought OJ didn't do it too. So I haven't seen this Carrie girl testify. That is going to be a firestorm interview because from her statements, Carrie's not a fan of the defendant and said some derogatory things to the police. So when she testifies, oh, the defense is going to be all over and the prosecution is going to get her to spill all the mud. That's going to be a good interview. I don't know when she's scheduled. I'm going to have to recap her because this is getting too long if I just leave it running. Here's another thing where I say these are spontaneous statements, and she is recalling this and reliving it as she's telling it. This is not rehearsed. This is not made up.
Yes.
And why are you at the rear of Ms. Roberts' vehicle?
In the beginning, I'm at the rear gathering towels or blankets. And then a few times I go to the rear because I'm trying to speak with the 911, and Karen is screaming hysterically. And then Carrie starts screaming at her to calm down. It was quite chaotic. So I was moving away so that I could be clear with the operators.
Now,
I'm sure she moved away in order to hide something. That's probably when she called the EMT that were responding and told them what to say and got their story straight. Yeah, I just uncovered the big conspiracy that's nobody's hit yet. Whatever. Okay, prosecutor did something right here. She testified at a grand jury hearing, and she told them, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. If you remember, the defense only brought up the times that she didn't say it, even though there was a grand jury hearing with transcripts that she did say it. Well, the prosecution just got it in, which for most reasonable people, it will reaffirm that the defense is full of shit and making shit up and trying to hide and confuse and lie.
Yes.
Mr. McCade, remember refreshed as to what you said in that prior proceeding in regard to those statements.
Yes.
What did you say?
What did I say in that? I told them that Karen looked straight at me and said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. And I said that there was, I believe, an EMT that overheard as well.
Now, if you recall in that
That's funny. The defense never brought that sworn testimony under oath up. Shocking.
same prior proceeding, being asked any questions sort of at different times, the defendant saying different iterations of that same statement.
Objection.
Sustained as to form. No leading, Mr. Lally.
With respect to that's testimony in that same prior proceeding, what, if anything else, were you asked about statements the defendant made to you that morning?
I was asked what were some of the statements that Miss Reed had made, and it was like, repeat, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? I have a cracked tail light. And then her, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Boom. Great recap of all the poor innocence woman's statements that nobody wants to address except the big conspiracy. So he still questioned her, but something that comes to mind that he should do at the end of this, and I don't know if he will, he should ask, doing the multitude of trials, appearances, and statements, and talking to multiple officers, and coordinating and sharing your grief, doing this whole traumatic 2.5-year debacle. Have you ever intentionally lied or misled this investigation in any way? And she should be able to answer no. And that would really reaffirm her position. I don't know if he'll ask that, but I think that would be a good way for his last.
Came to the area of 34 Fairview Road around 6 a.m. And you saw Mr. O'Keefe. Was he in the same clothes that you had seen him in earlier?
He had jeans and I believe the same shirt on, yes.
And nothing additional as far as a jacket or anything like that that you saw?
Not that I recall.
Now, again, as you were driving down Fairview Road,
So now he's asking her what entails the harassment. Since defense opened the door, he can expand on it and probe. And now he's asking her what kind of harassment has she been through, because they're painting this big lie that they're all criminals and they killed him.
is it sporadic, or how often were you experiencing that?
Daily, sometimes hourly.
And in addition to what you've already testified, what, if any, other incidents do you recall specifically involving either you or your children or your home?
People come by my house, they take video, they scream. They've gone to my child's sporting events and called me names. They've written letters to my daughter's colleges and said that they shouldn't allow them to play. And then they've attached these horrific articles that have been complete lies about all of us. They send me Facebook messages. They call my phone, home phone and cell phone, all hours of the night. They tell me to kill myself. They tell me I'm a terrible mother. They harass my children. My daughter testified here the other day. We didn't even get out of the building, and people were, saying horrendous things, that she's a liar. Your mother should die. It's just, it's unimaginable what my entire family is going through. I go to the beach, they take pictures, they post it, they threaten that there are eyes everywhere. I'll never be able to live a normal life again. I am a witness. That's all I am. I am not on trial. I am a witness. And these people are terrorizing me.
Sustained as to that part. I'll strike that part. Everything else will stand. Okay.
And so, your understanding that Mrs. Proctor had sustained similar issues as you had?
Correct.
Now,
Wow. Nice job, defense. Well, you know what? There's a lot of people that think the defense is just nice, honest, believable, and they're a poor victim just like their client of a big conspiracy. Okay, so now the prosecution asks all these questions and open the doors, And now the defense has an option. They can say no further questions, and then this woman is done and she can leave. They can say we have some questions.
Hey, Mr. Jackson.
Oh, shocking. He's got some questions. Who could have predicted that?
Concerning statement, I hit him. He gave a statement on January 29th to Sergeant Light. Called him over to specifically give him a statement.
Okay, so here he's going to go back over his good points that he made to try and undo that she already said this under oath at another trial. And now the prosecution is going to may come back and re-go again. I don't need to record all this. If it's something good, I'll come back and get it. This defense attorney really is leaving a bad taste in the jury. If anybody likes him, I don't get it. But he's still attacking her over bullshit. And he just did it again.
Came out.
But you do know that you started suffering this harassment that you claimed is awful and terrible,
That you claimed is often. Notice how he tried to slide it in? She caught it and corrects him. Most people wouldn't have.
etc., around April of 2023. Is that right?
I didn't claim it's awful. It is awful.
Okay, I'm sure it is awful, Ms. McCade. I'm sure.
Very condescending. Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Wow. This dude's getting extra being a dick points. I'll give him that.
Around April of 2023. Is that right?
I didn't claim it's awful. It is awful.
Okay, I'm sure it is awful, Ms. McCade. I'm sure it's terrible.
It
I'm
is.
sure it sucks to be harassed.
It really does.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Objection, Your Honor.
What a freaking dickhead. Dude! I mean, I don't like attorneys any damn way, but shit, you're taking attorney sleaziness to a new level.
All right, so that's sustained, and I'll strike it. Go ahead
Oh, sustained the objection and struck it.
and ask a question, Mr. Jackson.
You were upset by April of 2023 that there was public outrage about your family being involved in the death of John O'Keefe. That's what you were upset about, correct?
I was upset that we as witnesses were being harassed.
You were upset about public outrage concerning this case, correct?
Objection.
Sustained, that was answered. Next question.
And 2 months later, in June of 2023, for the first time, you testified at another proceeding, and lo and behold, you attributed the words, "I hit him," to my client, right?
Objection.
So ask that without the objectionable phrase.
2 months later, at another proceeding, in June of 2023, you attributed the statement, "I hit him," to my client for the first
Her answer should be, I didn't attribute anything. I answered truthfully, to the best of my memory.
time under oath, correct?
Under oath, correct.
You indicated when you turned your phone in, the police were perfectly okay with you deleting communications with your children, correct?
Correct.
Including Allie, who's a material witness in this trial.
Objection.
So part of that is objectionable, and I'll sustain that. So
You're aware that your daughter Allie was a witness in this case.
At the time, I was not aware of that, no.
No, but you did know
Good answer. Good answer.
that ultimately she was going to indicate that she drove Colin home, correct? You knew that at the time.
Objection.
that's sustained.
Did you?
You can't know if somebody's going to be implicated. He's planting seeds like he's walking through a pasture with a handful of seeds and he's throwing them everywhere. And if only a couple sprouts pop up, then he gets to say, see, I told you, big conspiracy.
You know at the time that Allie had driven Colin home, or she said she drove him home.
I had no idea she drove him home.
But you deleted all those communications with Allie, didn't you?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you delete all the communications that you had off your phone with Allie, your daughter?
Objection.
So this has already been answered, but go ahead, finish. Let's finish this loop. Did you delete them?
I deleted the conversations with my 4 daughters. At that time, Allie was not a witness.
Okay. All I asked you, you heard my question. Did you or did you not delete your communications with Allie and McCade?
Objection.
That's been answered.
You said that there was this statement that horrified you, your words, horrified you, that Carrie Roberts made.
I kind of figured he would touch on this because when she testified earlier, this statement was horrific. I was expecting it to be she's a slut, she was sleeping around on him, he's too good for her, just she's a gold digger. I was expecting something really slanderous. And when she said what it was, I personally don't find that very shocking. I have a feeling this girl's kind of a goody two-shoes. It may be shocking to her, but I have the same question that I didn't think that the statement that Kelly said was that shocking. But then again, I'm hardened and I don't give a shit, so nothing really shocked me.
During her interview, that you were eavesdropping on, right?
I'm not sure if she made it during that interview. I'd have to look back to see when I said she told them everything in bold, because I know she had said it to me multiple times. So I'm not sure if it's when she said it in the interview or just in general, when she said, I told them everything. I told them, etc.
So when you said in that group chat, she's telling them everything, that might not even be what you're talking about.
No, it was.
And you said that horrified you, correct?
I didn't know Kerry Roberts, so yes, her statement horrified me.
Horrified you.
Yes, that was horrifying.
And in that group chat, your response to that horrifying statement was 3 words. I love it.
Was there a response prior to that?
You tell me, ma'am. I'm not the one under oath. You are.
Well, if you want to show me it again, I'd love to get.
Yesterday.
So, do you have it handy, Mr. Jackson?
I don't, Your Honor. I'll grab it. Okay. Your Honor, it's been marked.
So what they're doing now is looking, is this going to help them or hurt them? If he just wanted to make a point and now he reads it and it hurts him, he'll say, I'll move on, Your Honor. If he sees that it helps him, he'll show her and go in and probe it more.
Take a look at those 2 pages.
Could you tell me what pages, please?
169 and the second page, Mr. McCade, if you wouldn't mind. During that conversation, when you said she's telling them everything, that came right on the heels of your husband saying, this girl could write a book, this woman could write a book or something like that, correct?
Correct, she talks nonstop.
Right. And then you said, 2 texts down, she's telling them everything.
Correct.
Hopefully she's going to say what I meant by that statement is she's being honest, even if it hurts or makes our friend look bad. She's telling everything because she wants who's ever responsible to be caught. That would be a very good response if she could come up with it. But it's hard on the fly when you're up there pissed, nervous, you've been going through this for 2 years, etc.
The text just before that was, I love it.
That was in response to my husband saying this girl could write a book.
What's the next thing that you wrote to that group within a second of that?
She is telling them everything.
Right. May I approach the floor?
Sure.
Oh my goodness, I'm so horrified. Did you?
Those were on phone conversations.
Nowhere in those texts that you just saw did you say the words or write the words, I'm so horrified. Did you?
No, because it was already spoken about.
You were asked on that morning, January 29th, 2022, as you drove to the location it happened. And your testimony was, as you approached, my client was searching frantically for John O'Keefe, correct?
I don't believe I said she was searching frantically for John O'Keefe.
Searching frantically.
She was screaming frantically in the back seat and texting in the back seat.
Was she just sitting there, curled up in the back seat, sucking her thumb, or was she searching out the window?
She was screaming
Right.
between Kerry and I. So I'm not really sure how she saw John over here when her head is up here screaming and then looking down and texting.
Was the whole point?
Oh man, now they got this girl. Now this girl is like, yeah, she's fucking guilty, and I know damn well she did it because she couldn't have saw the butt. Oh, they got her pissed off now. The prosecution, and I've seen this sometime, Your Honor, I'd like a short recess to give the witness a chance to regroup and take a break. This has been going on, and that will kind of disengage them and calm it down. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see.
Point of that trip, Miss McCade, to search for John?
It was because she knew where he was.
The whole point of that trip.
You go, girl. She believes she knows where he is. I believe she knew where he was. I believe everything that this girl has testified to. There's some inconsistencies. There's a couple things that's kind of like, seems a little odd, but there damn sure ain't no big conspiracy.
Was to look for him, correct?
She directed us to go to 34
No.
Fairview.
The whole point of the trip was to look for John, correct?
At 34 Fairview, where Karen said to go.
And your testimony is, that if it hadn't been for Karen jumping out of that truck, you would have stopped, correct?
Because I wouldn't have seen him. I didn't know he was
Yes
there.
or no?
She did.
Yes or no? Was that your statement? If she hadn't gotten out of the car,
I'm surprised they didn't stop him. He keeps interrupting her, and the prosecution should be stopping him with an objection and let her finish her answer. And they're not. I don't know why.
you wouldn't have stopped.
I don't believe it was stated like that. I believe there was a question and I answered.
And the question was, would you have stopped? And your answer was what?
What was the direct question?
Oh my goodness, Mr. McCade, it was 5 minutes ago.
Did he ask, did you see something? You like to change words. I just want to be certain.
You go, girl! That's my girl. Yeah, I'm liking her more.
Well, Mr. Jackson, just keep it to questions, not comments.
You were asked just a second ago by Mr. Lally, if Karen Reed had jumped out of the car, you wouldn't have stopped, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. All right, Ms. McCade, we are finished. Jurors,
Oh my God, they're finished. This poor woman. Now, I know there's going to be the people here like, Rick, you got the hots for her just because she's cute. You want to do her. Look, people, I like her attitude. I think she's been through hell. I think she's a trooper for going through it. She's trying to do the right thing. She's been harassed. She was just a witness. I mean, she didn't do anything. And unless you understand how impacting that is for a mother, her kids, her family, her friends to be targeted, that is brutal. And it's done because the defense made up some bullshit big conspiracy. And the only way his conspiracy worked is if he could point at someone else to commit the crime. And the only people he could point at are the people that was at the house. And so all these people got screwed only because they were there. It's outrageous. So this is day 15. I don't know what's going to happen next, or day 16. This is already an hour, so I'm going to make this. If there's a whole bunch, and I'll make a part 2. Otherwise, this will be day 16.